So I'm back today with another easy gardening project. Now I'll tell you, if it doesn't start with the word easy, I just don't have time for it with everything going on in my life. So this is why I think you will absolutely love this project. It's going to be placed on our back deck. Now let me tell you a little story about our back deck. Our back deck is basically a little mini Sahara. It gets all the afternoon sunlight, so by midday it is absolutely steaming hot out here. So any type of plant or container that I use has to have plants that are very capable of handling the heat and handling the dry climate. So that's why over the years I've experimented and I finally figured out that some of the best plants are actually cacti and succulents and things of that matter. I have small grandchildren and cats. I don't want cactus on my back porch. So that's why this year I'm going to be planting a lot of succulents. So what are succulents? Succulents have these fleshy stems, so they retain a lot of water. So while other plants may require a lot of care and a lot of moisture to be constantly added, succulents, because they do well in hot, dry climates, will be perfect for this project. I have a variation here of different types of succulents that I will be using. So how did I come about this project? Well, I had this container, as you might recognize, as a strawberry pot. It's for planting plants all around, and you could also plant at the top. The strawberry garden just didn't happen this year, so I decided, okay, I'm going to make a small kitchen herb garden. Well, that kind of fizzled out too. But when I was thinking about a planter for the succulent garden here on our back deck, this pot came to mind. It's normally a standard terracotta color that, any terracotta pot you find. I wanted to add some color to it because the color scheme for our deck was inspired by this large Mediterranean style platter. So you can see I pulled the blue. So all I did to prepare the pot was I spray painted it with a couple light coats of spray paint plus primer, taped it off, and then added the blue color with some craft paint. Very simple and very quick. So let's get started planting our succulent container. The soil I'm using is a ready mixed garden soil by Miracle Grow. I like to use the version that has moisture control already in it. Because particularly out here when it does get so dry, I need the soil to retain its moisture as much as possible. Now here's a little trick. If you have some standard potting soil and you have a situation where you need the moisture control as well, did you know you could use diapers? That's right. So if you know someone who has diapers, or go out and buy a cheap box of them yourself, you can use the granules inside of the diaper, because what do diapers do? They retain moisture. So take the granules, you'll get about a tablespoon, a little bit more out of each diaper, put it in some water, and what will happen in just literally a few minutes is it will create a gel substance. Add that gel substance to your soil and you have now created the same effect as a moisture controlled soil. It won't hurt the plants. I wouldn't suggest it for edible pots, but definitely for decorative pots, it will be just fine. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can plant this. It has 6 openings all the way around. You could go ahead and completely fill the pot with soil, but I prefer to add the soil up to the first planting line, plant my plants, add the soil up to the second planting line, plant my plants, and then continue on and then plant whatever I'm going to plant at the top. This allows me, I think, to control the soil better so it's not coming out as I'm working. So are you ready to get started? This is a perfect example of a hen and a chick. You can see how the mama hen is already producing a little chick. Now here's a little secret. You can cut off the little hen, dab it in some root hormone powder, which you can get at any garden store, and that will allow you to propagate the plant, which means it will create new roots, and you can grow even more hens and chicks. My mama had tons of these when I was growing up around her home, so these are very dear to my heart. So the first thing I'm going to do is add something that you would not really think would go in a hot climate, but they do. This is in the sedum family. This is, a matter of fact, this is a sedum. Sedum is part of the stone crop family. You will find these a lot in stone gardens or maybe borders where there's a lot of stone. They also tend to retain moisture very easy. Now why I've decided to choose these is because this will give me a draping effect which will soften the pot, because if I just start putting these in on the side, I think it could get a little hard. This will create a softening effect which I think you will like. Now I've got 6 openings, but I've only got 4 of these pots. The reason is I'm going to separate them. It's not unusual for me to separate pots, and a lot of times pots will come, you can see this really probably needed a good watering, but see how the roots are all together? You want to break up that root system. Sometimes you will even find that the roots are just bound tightly. That's called root bound. You want to get rid of that. It is not going to hurt it. What I do is I just pinch off that bottom, and then I just open it up and allow the root system to breathe. That's all you're doing. You're just allowing it to breathe. Plants are pretty tough. It would take a lot to kill them. So don't feel like you're going to hurt them by tearing them apart. So now I have 2 different plants from one pot. That is also a very economical thing. So I'm simply going to start by poking that right in the hole. The soil is already up to the top. Now see how pretty that is already? That is going to create a draping effect that will be very pretty. And now let's go ahead and add one of our succulents. Again, you can take the pieces apart and remove some of the soil and just stick it right in there. So now we have our first opening planted. Let's go ahead and complete the project. Isn't it pretty already? I love how the sedum gives that flowy effect that I was going for. Now here's a little secret, and I know it's going to sound like cruel and unusual punishment, but if you have some of these larger succulents that are heavy and don't want to stay in well, simply break off a wooden skewer and poke right down into the center of it into the soil. What that will do is that will allow it to be more stabilized until the roots take over and will hold its own. So it will not hurt the plant, I promise you. So the last thing I'm going to do is add one final plant to the top. I have the blue. Remember the plate, the Mediterranean plate? It had bursts of red in it. So I've chosen another sun-hardy plant, a Gerbera daisy, and I chose it in red. And that will bring out that red color that I was wanting to get. So I'm just putting it right there in the center, and I will fill it in with some soil. I've got one more of the sedum plants, and I'm just going to tuck it here around the sides, and that will soften it up. You could also use some moss if you wanted to. Moss would be very pretty, and if you watch me on any of my projects, I love using moss. But I wanted this to be a project that was completely evergreen, so that's why I decided to use the sedum. And there we go. I do have one final little addition. It is a small chalkboard that says, "Hey y'all." Why? Well, I am Southern after all. So I hope you enjoyed this project. You can find lots more DIY projects by following me here on my channel at YouTube and also on my blog at www.everydayhomeblog.com. Make it a great day.